This is the Untold Italy travel podcast, and you are listening to episode number 241.
Ciao a tutti and benvenuti to Untold Italy, the travel podcast where you go to the towns and villages, mountains and lakes, hills and coastlines of Bella Italia. Each week, your host, Katy Clarke, takes you on a journey in search of magical landscapes, history, culture, wine, gelato, and of course, a whole lot of pasta. If you're dreaming of Italy and planning future adventures there, you've come to the right place.
Ciao everyone! I have a special treat for you today. We're heading deep into the Emilia Romagna region to learn about my favourite and, let's face it, one of the world's favourite cheeses, Parmigiano Reggiano. Today, joining us is our great friend Giulia Tamarri, who is a food ambassador for her region, and I have to say she does an excellent job of that. Giulia is always learning, and earlier this year she did a course to learn more about Parmigiano Reggiano and asked if we could have her teacher, one of the official cheese tasters from the consortium, join us. What an honour. Of course I said yes. So you'll also hear the voice of Alessandro, Giulia's teacher, tell us about the culture, traditions and technique of this much-loved cheese. Exploring these traditions at one of the local dairies is a highlight of our tour in the Emilia region, and it's actually one of the reasons that I wanted to do a tour there. Making Parmigiano Reggiano is both an art and a science, but it's also about passion, dedication and learning. So let's dive in and hear all about it. Benvenuti, Giulia and Alessandro. Welcome onto the Untold Italy podcast.
Buongiorno a tutti.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Now, Giulia, we are old friends, of course, and you're always a welcome addition to our podcast. But some of our listeners may not know who you are. So can you please introduce yourself and let them know a little bit about you?
Very gladly. So, ciao a tutti. My name is Giulia, or how I nickname myself, Travel with Resdora. I am a gastro guide from Emilia Romagna, my beloved region, which is the region maybe that you know because of Modena, because of Bologna, but also because of the glorious food that we have and create with a lot of passion. And actually, Katy, one of these food is Parmigiano Reggiano, which is actually what I would like to talk to you about today.
Yes, we're very excited, Giulia. Yeah, and also Giulia is leading some of our tours for Untold Italy tours, and if you're very lucky, you'll have her as a host for several days. She's lots of great fun. Now, Alessandro, welcome. We're so thrilled to have you join us today, and I can't wait to learn more about my favourite cheese. But before we get started, can you please let our listeners know something about you and your journey to becoming an expert in Parmigiano Reggiano?
Yeah, buongiorno a tutti. My name is Stocchi Alessandro, and I work, as I said, for the consortium of Parmigiano Reggiano. So I am a battitore. We never found a good translation for this. It's very typical and traditional terms. But I am one of the people that go checking every single wheel of our production, and maybe later I can explain you better what's my job for the consortium. I'm a teacher of the professional Parmigiano Reggiano Taster Association. So we also have a culture about tasting of our video products. So I also work for this association.
And actually, Katy, if I may add, that's how I know Alessandro, because he has been my teacher. So this year, in order to further develop my knowledge for the Emilia tour with Untold Italy and my personal background, I took this special course called Parmelier Level 1. It's like sommelier, but for Parmigiano Reggiano. And Alessandro has been my teacher, so it's quite difficult to talk about Parmigiano Reggiano with the expert next to me, today.
Wow, that sounds like a really fantastic course to do. So basically what you did was taste a lot of cheese. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, exactly. Of course, Katy. Every single evening we had like an amazing array of cheeses that we had to try. But obviously, they taught us a lot about the theory behind the production process, but also how to taste it very well itself, which is actually very complex.
Right.
As association, we think it's very important. Also, a technical part that's very, very linked with the tasting, the technical part of the tasting. But also, we think it's very, very, very important to have also an idea of everything that there is behind the product. So, if you want to really understand, I think every kind of alimentary product, you need really to understand what there is behind to arrive there.
Yeah, it was really, really cool, Katy. You should do it.
Yeah, we'll wait for you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm coming. But I mean, Alessandro, I think you must be an excellent friend to have all this knowledge and to have all these experience about Parmigiano Reggiano. But let's dive in a little bit more, because I think it's, as you said, it's so important to understand the origin, the history, the production, the inputs like the milk and all of the things that, well, there's not very many things that go into the cheese, I think, but it's the quality of the ingredients as well that's really important. So maybe if you can explain a little bit about maybe the history of the cheese and then how they go about making it.
So it's funny because if I were to answer this question, what is Parmigiano Reggiano? I would answer this question, Alessandro, very symbolically. It's what runs through our veins. Of course, because it's what we are fed with since we are babies, pretty much. And obviously, not just because some people claim it, but because the best chef in the world claim it, and also because there are many cheese contests all around the world. It's the best cheese in the world. Can I claim this, Katy?
I think we can agree that it's the best cheese.
Absolutely. And why is it so special? Well, first of all, because of many reasons. First of all, because of the fact that it's very special. We follow this 9th century old tradition. So it has been created by monks in the Middle Ages, and we still pretty much use the same recipe. It's also because there are very strict regulations about the cheese. It's what we call a PDO product. So all the process, all the ingredients have to be strictly controlled. And actually, Alessandro is the person that gives, after the 12 months, which is the minimum ages for each wheel, it gives the okay to say if it's a Parmigiano Reggiano or not. Maybe, Alessandro, you should explain why.
Yeah, first of all, I think, as Giulia said, Parmigiano Reggiano is a PDO product, so it's very, very, very important to say that, first of all, we have only one area where it's possible to produce our cheese. And our compensorium area is composed by the province of Parma, Reggio Emilia, Modena, a little part of the province of Bologna to the left side of the Reno River, and a little part of the province of Mantova to the right side of the Po River. Only in this area we can produce our milk to be transformed into Parmigiano Reggiano, and there is a very, 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 very strong link by chemical and physical factor, but also by the human factor, the tradition and the culture, okay, with this area and our final product. A lot of time when someone tries to copy Parmigiano Reggiano, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure that you can try to make it, to do exactly the same process, whatever you want, but it's absolutely not the same. Also, because we have to know that for our regulation, we can feed our cows only with natural ingredients. And to give you an idea, we can feed our cows with fresh grass or hay that came minimum from 75% from our compensorium area. So this is very, very, very important when we think about chemical and physical factor, okay? And then you have to know that we milk our cows twice in a day, one in the morning and one in the evening. And in a very, very, very short time, we have to take and bring the milk into the dairy. Any kind of treatment is possible for the milk. So no freezing, no cooling, no pasteurization. Is absolutely raw milk. And so what happened? That all the typical and unique bacterial flora that we have in our fields, in our area, it passes through the grass and into the hay, And by the grass and the hay arrives into the cows. Then the cows give us the milk. And with any kind of treatment, we can transfer by the milk into the cheese. So in this process, our Parmigiano Reggiano is really a unique expression of this comprensione area.
So the cows are the certain type of cows as well, right? So they're mainly Frisians, is that right? I don't know the word in Italian, Giulia.
Frisone, yeah.
Frisone.
But also we can use other more typical local cows. First of all, obviously, the one that I'm most passionate about, which is the Modenese white cow. Or we also have the brown cows from the Alps, from the Swiss Alps, but also the local from Reggio area that are called Vacche Rosse, the red cows.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think this is so interesting because maybe in our English-speaking culture, people wouldn't even think, they just think there's a cow, if they wouldn't think that maybe there's a special breed of cow that makes the right type of milk. When I was with you a few years ago and we went to the dairy, they were saying the Bianca Modenese cow had a higher fat content in the milk than the Frisian cow, so it makes a slightly different cheese. Is that right?
Yeah, it makes it creamier, that's for sure. So, and obviously that actually was part of what during our course as sommelier of Parmigiano Reggiano, they actually made us compare the different varieties of milk and which effect it had on the actual cheese.
Also, a couple of years ago, it was very dry. It was a drought in your region. So the Po River was very low and there wasn't much rain. So when that happens, can that change the way the cheese tastes as well?
Yeah, but you also have to remember that in the production of Parmigiano Reggiano, we have a very, very, very important artisanal part, okay? Human factor, I hope you will be here in Emilia Romagna and in our competition area and you can see all the process and you will see that the cheesemaker and the guys that work in the dairy, they really do a very artisanal job. Our dairies, they are not factories, absolutely not. So what I want to say is that the human factor is very, 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 very important also to arrive to the typical flavor and aroma to our Parmigiano Reggiano.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, more than the kind of cows that we are using.
Yeah, so how is it that what does the cheesemaker do to influence the cheese, to enhance the cheese?
The cheesemaker have a very artisanal part in the process, of course. So, as you said before, every day the milk is different. You have always to remember that we work with raw milk. So maybe yesterday it rains, or we have a very sunny and hot summer. Okay, so also the feeding of the cows, of course, is different. Okay, and so every day the cheesemaker have to understand what is different today between yesterday and between tomorrow, and so he have to, maybe we have the spinatura, so we have to broke the crowd, okay, into the milk, and then maybe we need today some second less or some second more. A very, very small difference in the making process, it means that we have a very important difference in the cheese tomorrow. So the cheesemaker and the guys have every day to understand the milk that they are working today. When they are cooking the milk, maybe they have to go a little bit slower or a little bit faster today. This is a difference important for us tomorrow.
Wow. It must take a lot of training to get that level of experience.
Absolutely, yeah. Also because only the human factor, any kind of machine can replace this. So you will see that the cheesemaker works with the hands into the milk. So they need a lot of experience to become a Parmigiano Reggiano cheesemaker. You need really maybe 15, 20 years of experience before. Also because you have to know that you have a great responsibility. Okay, if something goes wrong by your works, it depends the works of all the farmer around. And as Giulia said before, you know the success of your work only after 12 months.
When you come knocking.
Yeah, exactly.
So when the cheesemaker, they have the milk and they're cooking it, do they add any other ingredients to the milk for making the cheese? What is added to the milk?
Yeah, we use the milk, and the milk that we use is a blend of skimmed milk of yesterday night and the morning milk of this morning. And then you have to know for that we need about 500 kilos of milk to produce a wheel of 40 kilos. So when you have in your hands the classical piece of Parmigiano Reggiano of 1 kilo, okay, you have in your hands 14 kilos of milk.
Wow, Alessandro, I've never thought about it. Actually, now that you give numbers and figures, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
14 kilos of milk. Wow, Katy, that's a lot, isn't it?
That's a lot. And how much milk would one cow produce a day?
Maybe in the medium is about 30 kilos for a day.
Oh, okay. Those cows are busy.
Other kind of cows, they produce more or less. So we use the milk of skimmed milk of yesterday night and whole milk of tomorrow. Then we are ready to add the first ingredients. That's the whey, the part of the milk that don't become cheese, So every day we take away the serum, and tomorrow we add 25 kilos for each caldron, okay, of whey of yesterday. Because the whey is full of good lactic ferment. So we want to give just like a starter, and for us it's only a natural starter. So we add the serum, the whey of yesterday, so the good lactic ferment can give a very powerful hand to the good lactic ferment of today into the milk. And we want to create the acid ambient to work then the rennet. So then the second ingredient is the rennet, only natural rennet for us, so absolutely natural ingredient. So a very small quantity of rennet, 25 grams of rennet for 1,000 kilos of milk. In about 10 minutes, they create an enzymatic shock, so they transform the milk from a liquid state into just like a gel state, okay? It's like a caramel,
Yeah.
And then arrive our cheese. And as said before, only with the hands have to find exactly the right moment to broke the milk, to broke the crowd, to obtain some grains big as rice, to give an idea. This is a very particular process, and they start very slowly with a particular movement, and then they go faster to obtain these grains, and then they have to cook these grains. In about 10 minutes, they cook, and they arrive at about 44 Reaumur degrees. So we arrive at 44 Reaumur degrees. They don't touch anymore the cauldron, the container where they are cooking the milk. So they don't touch more the cauldron for 1 hour. During this hour, all the grains, they fall down to the bottom, and one over the other, they create a big ball of cheese into the bottom of the cauldron. So after 1 hour, they are ready for the extraction of the big ball. You have to imagine it just like a big mozzarella now, very wet, very soft. They extract the big ball of cheese, they cut it in the middle, they divide it, and we have our 2 wheels of Parmigiano Reggiano from the same cauldron. We call it twins.
And actually, Katy, it's very, from a tourist guide point of view, Katy, it's amazing to take people around and show them what happens. And this also happens during our Emilia tour, that we go to the dairy farm and we actually go very early. It's so worth waking up early that morning just to see the birth of the Parmigiano Reggiano. Is fantastic. And actually seeing the cheese master, how Alessandro was describing, using we call it spino, this long tool. Imagine like a very big, how would you describe it? Like a long...
Just like a big ball with a lot of knife for around.
Okay.
And they, with this instrument, they really have to cut and to broke the gel, the milk. And yeah, we want to take the grains.
Beautiful. It's beautiful to look at, really.
Yeah, I remember. And do you know what? When you were talking, I was thinking, wow, I just love that it's tactile and it's hands-on and they're doing it based on touch. And, why I love going to Italy is a lot of this experience and knowledge is only here, that will never, ever be replaced by a robot. Like, can you ever imagine that a robot would take over this job?
Oh my gosh, I hope not. I cry thinking about it, Alessandro. Really, it's impossible because we talked about this expertise, that each cheese master must have and takes so many years. depending on obviously all these conditions that only humans can feel.
And I think anyone who gets a little bit sad in the English-speaking world is so much focus on doing everything faster, doing it more efficient, doing everything, with technology. But, it's really relaxing to come to Italy and to hear about a process like this, which is never, ever going to be replaced by a robot, So it's really comforting to me, actually, because people do value this product because of exactly the care and attention that's been put into it by human beings. And I think I'm someone that loves technology, as you know, but I do also have a very strong appreciation for this process that is just incredible. So once you get the two balls, the twins balls of cheese, what happens next?
Then during the first night, we are ready to add to cheese our origin marks, okay, of Parmigiano Reggiano. Then the last ingredient that we want to add is the salt. So the wheels, it remains under the solution with water and salt for 18, maybe 20 days. Then they go into the warehouse. Then they stay into the warehouse, as Giulia said before, minimum for 12 months. Because we will know maybe only after 12 months if the wheels that we are producing today, they maybe can be Parmigiano Reggiano, okay? Minimum only after 12 months, because, and this is my job, so now I'm ready to talk about it. So, Parmigiano Reggiano is the only one PDO product all over the world that check every single pieces of the production. So last year we produced about 4 million wheels. We check 4 million wheels, one by one. When you buy a piece of Parmigiano Reggiano, you can be sure that me or a colleague of mine have checked that arrived from a wheel that have the characteristic to be the real Parmigiano Reggiano. We check the wheels only with a hammer. This is the only one instrument that we use. And with the hammer, we check all the surface of the wheel, and by the sound, we recognize if inside we have some kind of defects. So, for a perfect wheel, we have a completely full pasta inside. We have any kind of spaces inside. If something goes wrong, we have some spaces. Maybe Lerdamer cheese, Emmental cheese. This kind of cheese, they have some bubbles of air all around. Okay, for them it's a characteristic, huh? They want this, but not for us. So if something like this happen, it means that something go wrong. We have a bad fermentation, and it means that we have maybe some sour flavor, maybe bitter flavor to the cheese, so something go wrong. So with the hammer, when we arrive over this defect, if we have defect, we hear a difference in the sound, and then we can do our selection. So only the perfect wheels goes in Parmigiano Reggiano first category. We said, okay, this is perfect. After us arrived a colleague of us, and with a fire mark, put the PDO fire mark over the wheel. Then with the 12 month and the fire mark, now is Parmigiano Reggiano. You can call it Parmigiano Reggiano.
Okay.
Then we have another category where we have a wheel with maybe a very small defect. So it's not perfect, but we have a small defect. So we said, okay, it's still Parmigiano Reggiano, but it's a second category one. So we put the fire mark of the PDO, but after us arrived a colleague of us, and with the machine, it engraves a lot of line all around over the skin. So as a consumer, you can recognize the second quality between the first one. This is still Parmigiano Reggiano, but is not good for a long aging. So we cut these wheels in a very short time, 14 months, 15 months, and it's much more common that you can find maybe, for example, rated.
Okay, yeah.
And then we put in the third categories, so this is not Parmigiano Reggiano, so we don't put the fire mark, but the colleague of mine that before engraves the line over the skin, now it takes away all the part that have the origin marks of Parmigiano Reggiano. So the wheels, they remain completely white, and the producer can say it as Italian cheese, white cheese, any kind of name they want, but any kind of reference to the PDO Parmigiano Reggiano. This is the main instrument that we have to give the guarantee to the consumers that when you buy a piece of Parmigiano Reggiano, you can be sure that arrived from wheels that deserve the brand Parmigiano Reggiano brand.
I really respect that. And I think it's really important because you can buy here in Australia Parmigiano Reggiano. And after spending time with Giulia a couple of years ago, and I came back home, do you remember this? And I said, Giulia, they're not even saying how many months is aged on the cheese. And so now I've become very bossy at the delicatessen to say, now, where is this? Well, I want to see the wheel, Sometimes maybe people rely on that we don't know all of those amazing things that you just told us. So just like if you're going to buy a Gucci handbag, you want to know that it was made by the proper Gucci, right? And it's not cheap, the cheese, and nor should it be really. But if you want the good stuff, the proper Parmigiano, you need to look for the right brand.
Katy, I'm so glad you mentioned that. There are many Parmigiano Reggiano nerds like me. So what I do when I go traveling, and I am also in another city, I normally go to the cheese shop and see what I want to see the wheel, because on the actual wheel you find a special number, because obviously each dairy farm is characterized by a number, and you could actually find out, first of all, if it's the real stuff, okay? But second of all, you could also ask from which dairy farm exactly it comes from.
And I can just see you going around Sicily looking for your Parmigiano Reggiano.
I am the nightmare of every cheese shop all over Italy and more. I was actually in Edinburgh the other day and I went to check and they actually showed me. And they knew actually where it came from. At least they knew which province out of the 5 it came from. So that's another way to check if you're getting your cheese from a good shop.
Alessandro, you said there was 4 million wheels produced every year.
Yeah.
Is that the first grade cheese, or is that everything?
We have some wheels in the first category, some in the second, and some in the third. Yeah. The medium is about the 10% of second, and total of the second and third is about 10%. But I want to say this thing that I think is very, 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 very important. Sometimes when I talk about my job, someone said, okay, but maybe they think about Parmigiano Reggiano, maybe one of the most important, we can say PDO product all over the world.
Yeah.
So, but you can have some defect, and it seems that is something wrong. I think is absolutely the opposite. Because as I said before, we work with natural ingredients, any kind of preservatives, additives, any kind of this. As said before, the human factor is very important. The artisanal part is very important. So if you do anything in the nature, you know that not every time the things goes in the way that you want. It's absolutely normal. So I think that maybe if the day when we will have 100% of perfect wheels, all the same, anything is, I think that's not the right way. It's absolutely normal that something go wrong. So this is just like another one,
proof.
Yeah, another proof of the nature and the artisanality that there is behind our product.
I think that's lovely. I think that's just perfect, actually, because just like human beings, we're not all perfect either, right? So, let's... I like to compare myself to a round of cheese. Anyway, Alessandro, when you're doing your normal testing job, how many rounds would you taste every day?
We check every day about 1,000 wheels.
Wow. 1,000, Alessandro.
1,000 medium. We have 21 people that make this job.
Wow. And what sort of training did you need to do your job?
To understand, to learn our job, there are no schools. So still today is really a job that you can only learn it by doing. So when I started here in the consortium, There were very old people that make this job maybe for 40, 45 years. And only with the time, with the experience, they can teach you this job. So still today is exactly the same. So if you want, you need a lot of passion about all the production chain, and you need a lot of patience also to understand and to learn the job. And also you need a lot of understanding about all the producer also, because you need a lot of, like I can say, sensibility about the job, because you can understand that by my job it depends also all the money that they can have. Okay, so I have really to be sure that I'm working the right way every day. By a side, I don't have to damage the producer, and by the other side, I have to give the guarantee to the consumer that I'm making in the right way my job. And also my job, you can understand, is a very artisanal job. Only with an hammer, 300 grams hammer.
Amazing.
We have to understand how is inside a 40 kilos wheel of cheese. So
Yeah.
we need to be sure that we are working in the right way.
So when you were a kid, did you think that you would be doing this job when you were like a small boy?
I was always interested in. I'm always passionate. Always been passionate in all the enogastronomic production. As Giulia said before, Emilia Romagna is full of very important products. So I was always interested in, but I was also interested in this kind of job because it's a very particular job. And then I have the possibility to start it, but I never think about this before. So yeah.
It's so interesting. Like I'm actually doing a talk to some students tomorrow, and like I just think that, you know, some kids maybe just don't even know that this job is possible, you know, so it would be really fascinating. Is there anyone from outside Emilia Romagna who does your job?
Yeah, we can say that there are maybe a very small quantity of people. I don't know how many there are, but a lot of a very small quantity of people that make the job outside. But we can say that Parmigiano Reggiano is the only one product that suck every single wheel of production.
And it's worth it. It's interesting because, you know, in our culture, if we go to an Italian restaurant and we ask for cheese, will someone grate some Parmigiano Reggiano for us? But that's not the only way to eat it, right?
We can use Parmigiano Reggiano in the kitchen in a lot of different ways. So you can grated Parmigiano Reggiano, and you can use it as ingredient in the kitchen, okay? That give more flavor to your dishes. But you have to know that by this aging of the cheese, it changes a lot also the flavor, the aroma, and the texture also of the cheese. So to give you an idea, maybe a younger one, 16, 18 months, for example, maybe it's better if you want to pair this maybe for an aperitif. You can use with a sparkling white wine, or maybe you can use slices in a very fresh summer dishes or a salad, okay? Because it remains very with a lot of lactic flavor, and maybe when it's young, it's still sweet, a little bit sour, okay, but not so much intense. Then we have the 24 months that the classical aging for us. So in this aging, you can grate the cheese because during the aging of the cheese, the humidity squeezes out from the wheel. So the texture, it becomes more crumbly and with a higher granulosity and solidity. So at 24 months, we have a medium intensity in the flavor and aroma, and you can use this aging as ingredient in the kitchen, but also you can, for example, pair this kind of Parmigiano Reggiano with honey, maybe with jam, and you also can try to pair with a lot of products that have a medium intensity of aroma. Yeah, then we have another one, maybe when we start from 36 months, okay, we can start to pair with more intense aroma. So also, for example, balsamic vinegar, of course.
Yay!
Okay. Love this.
No, sorry, no. For many people, it's the perfect, we call it the perfect wedding. Traditional balsamic vinegar, eh?
Yeah, the traditional one, the proper one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can pair with this kind of product, but also in the years we have a lot of pairing, a lot of experience, very interesting. So Also with maybe after the dish with a very long aged Parmigiano Reggiano, 60 months, 70 months, you can pair with Marsala, to give you an idea, or Scottish whiskey, or Amarone, also a lot of wine, okay, or Lambrusco also, with the same territory here. We can try a lot of experience, and the different aging of Parmigiano Reggiano, they give us a very high variability also in the flavor and aroma. In the context, we have a very big context, okay? So we can use it for a lot of different pairing. So Giulia, that she's also a taster after the course, can also give you your opinion about this.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Now I feel under pressure. No, well, of course, we have already mentioned traditional balsamic vinegar. To me, it's fantastic. Personally, I actually enjoy Parmigiano Reggiano on its own as a snack. For example, during the day, I love my snacking on my 12 months Parmigiano Reggiano, but obviously when I am at the table and I'm properly having dinner with my friends, it's my way to show off, because my fridge is always very sad, but I have always got very special Parmigiano Reggiano from different dairy farms, from different types of milk. So with some nice, of course, also Lambrusco from my area, very versatile on meat. Recently, Alessandro, I think you might like it too. Alessandro, you are from Reggio, right?
Sí.
Recently, I was in Parma and I ordered Rosa di Parma, which is this fillet of beef. I think it's veal. And inside you have Parma ham and Parmigiano Reggiano. Wow, Katy, it's to die for,
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I would put Parmigiano Reggiano everywhere.
Yeah, I know you would. So, I mean, I think it's really interesting because what is it that makes it so delicious? I mean, where there's all of this tradition and like long process, but the process creates umami, doesn't it? It's that flavor that is present in not so many ingredients, but it's that intensity of flavor. It's like a explosion in your mouth and you can really taste it and experience it, as you say, and all those different levels. And that's why I like it anyway. What about ice cream, Giulia? You're always trying to get us to do gelato flavors. So
Katy, I forgot about that, of course. Well, and actually, you could also have it as a gelato taste. Now, obviously, not every gelatieri are skilled artisans that can transform Parmigiano Reggiano in an amazing gelato experience. But actually, I know a few that do, and it's absolutely fantastic because it's definitely not the way you would think of Parmigiano Reggiano, but it could also be as a gelato taste, a gelato flavor. I hope we made everyone mouth water after this recording. What do you think? I really hope so. Curious to come and meet us and also experience with us the actual experience of visiting a dairy farm, meeting the cheese master, meeting, who knows, maybe an expert I like Alessandro.
Is there a way, I mean, not everyone can come with us because we have very limited spaces to go on our special tour, but if someone is coming to Modena or Parma or Reggio, is there a way for them to visit one of the farms, and how would you recommend people do a tasting?
Well, first of all, they should always refer to the official website of the consortium. So in that, there is a list of dairy farms that manage their visit, because some dairy farms are equipped enough with their guides, they speak fluent English and so on. So that's definitely a way to, I would say, check the website, the official website. But also you could also contact local guides that can take you. And smaller farms not always have, the capacity and the ability to offer their own tours. So in that case, you need to refer to a specialist.
You can't just turn up. That's what these people are making cheese. It's a very important job. You can't just arrive. You need to make a booking or go with a guide. But I have to say, and maybe this one for you, Alessandro, there probably aren't enough tours happening. I think there's an opportunity for someone to do more of these because there's a lot of people very interested in understanding more about the process of making Parmigiano Reggiano, I would say. We probably get maybe 3 or 4 inquiries a week, just for people specifically wanting a tour. So, yeah, it's difficult. Anyway, we're going to keep looking and helping people find. But you can still do tastings in maybe the market in Modena as well.
Also, visiting market is an amazing experience in order to be able to taste the actual product. But I would say the complete experience would also really be visit the dairy farm, and buying the cheese from that dairy farm. Another thing we haven't mentioned is the ricotta as well, because we use the whey that is left over from the Parmigiano Reggiano production to make ricotta. So that experience you can only do if you do visit the dairy farm,
It's incredible. I think behind every truly iconic product, there's so many passionate and dedicated people who go into making it and supporting it to make sure that the quality is maintained. And, no doubt that is 100% the case with Parmigiano Reggiano. And I'll never stop eating it. I can't wait to come and learn more because, I know that I don't even know 1% of what goes into making this amazing and iconic Italian cheese, and can't wait to come and visit with you all and learn some more.
Yes, Katy, we're waiting for you. Come.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to let anyone know about Parmigiano Reggiano? Is there one last thing we should know?
Maybe it should become interesting for people also talk about the imitation of Parmigiano Reggiano. You have to know that Parmigiano Reggiano is the most imitated alimentary product all over the world. So all our producers, they are just like proud about this, because if everyone in every part of the world try to copy you, it means that they really recognize the quality. But you can imagine that from the other side is an incredible damage for us. So in UA, you can produce any kind of product in the milky market and call it Parmesan, Parmesa, or Reggianito, any kind of name that remind you to the brand Parmigiano Reggiano. Only if it's the real Parmigiano Reggiano, okay? You can call it Parmesan only if you are really talking about Parmigiano Reggiano, for example. Outside from UA, a lot of time is not so easy for the people to recognize the real one. So maybe because also today we don't have, I think, enough culture about this. So the two instruments that you have to recognize the real one is the typical dot over the skin. Okay, these dots have like a legal value. Okay, so you can search for the dot over the skin or for the Parmigiano Reggiano logo over the packaging. Okay, maybe you can give your picture, Katy up there, so you can also have the official logo. And with the logo, the official logo over the packaging, or with the dot, you can be sure you are buying the real one. So tell to your parents, to everyone that you have to search for this.
Only the real, only the king, only the real one.
Yeah, it's really interesting because here, and I mean, don't be shocked and don't be angry with me, but they cut it up so that you can't see the rind. I mean, I believe them. They're good people,
That's cheeky, Katy, because, we also use the rind.
I know, it's so good.
So as Italians, we would be like, hey, why are you not giving me the rind? Because I might use it. Because as you know, we, instead of using like artificial stock, we use the rind. So to make risotto, we use that to make broth. Absolutely. We would complain. Absolutely.
Or you can put the rind of Parmigiano over the barbecue, so you have a crunchy part outside and the fused cheese inside.
And Aussie barbecues are so famous. Katy, we should start a revolution here.
We always start a revolution with a barbecued Parmigiano Reggiano. Well, actually my husband puts it in a pasta sauce, like even ragu, like just makes it more the flavor, of the cheese. I don't know. It tastes good.
There is no wax. It's all edible. So why not?
Yeah, that's really interesting because I think people do think it's wax, right? But it's not.
Only 3 ingredients. So no wax.
All right, grazie, Giulia and Alessandro. Look, it's just been amazing. I just love hearing about the products of your region and especially this cheese, which is my favorite. And I hope everyone who's listening can hear that this is something important. It's a tradition that's important, and you're so passionate about it, and that's a really good reason to come to Emilia Romagna and experience it for yourself, because I feel like sometimes we're rushing around so busy and we're thinking the robots can fix everything, but they're never going to fix your cheese.
Never. To claim a famous phrase from Massimo Bottura, this is the land of slow food and fast cars. And for sure, Parmigiano is one of those slow food that you have to try.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it. It's been lots of fun, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Katy.
Thank you.
Grazie a tutti.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
And that, my friends, is why I love Italy. The passion, the dedication, and commitment to a quality product. There's no compromise. They are committed to making the most excellent cheese, the king of cheeses, but also there's no waste. You can eat or cook with the rind, and the ricotta is made with leftover milk product. And if the cheese isn't up to scratch, it's used for something else. The essence of this product is in the human touch, the knowledge gained from years of experience and training. You can't automate this cheese making, and that, I think, is magnificent. I have to pinch myself that I have the opportunity to spend time with people like this, and I truly wish it for all of you. Of course, Italy's sights and history are magnificent, but if you want to get to the heart of Italian culture, try to meet people like Alessandro and Giulia. It's truly life-changing. We have a few spots left on our spring tour of Bologna, Modena and Parma next year, where we visit the mountain Parmigiano Reggiano dairy that was featured on Stanley Tucci's Searching for Italy, and whose cheese is used by one of the world's greatest chefs and local Emilian, Massimo Bottura. I've been there and it's incredible. This is not a place you can visit independently, unfortunately. However, if you'd like help planning your travels in this region, we also offer trip planning services where our consultants can help you taste the most incredible Parmigiano Reggiano that you've ever popped into your mouth. Of course, you'll find the details of the consortium, our Emilia tour, and a link to our Emilia guide in the show notes at untolditaly.com/241 for episode 241. Grazie mille. Thanks to all our wonderful listeners for your ongoing support of Untold Italy. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, then we would love it if you shared it with your Italy-loving friends and family. Grazie to all of those of you who have already done this. It's so appreciated. That's all for today. Next week, we're taking another magical trip to Italy via the sound waves, but until then, it's ciao for now.
The Untold Italy podcast is an independent production. Podcast editing, audio production and website development by Mark Hatter, production assistance and content writing by the other Katy Clarke. Yes, there are two of us. For more information about Untold Italy, please visit untolditaly.com.